Kentucky at Tennessee. Tennessee is a 12-point home favorite. Over under 61. This game's at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's a really interesting game. Kentucky's coming off of a bye. Tennessee coming off of a quasi bye.
A 50 burger in the first half.
Yeah, shout out to UT Martin for the live and second half cover. Maybe Tennessee gets Cedric Tillman back. He's one of the best receivers in the country. Don't know if he'll be a full go, but he's going to be back very soon. They might just hold him for Georgia, but they might just want to get him a couple snaps and get him some live run before that game, which is next week. I don't know if Tennessee's overlooking Kentucky. It's like a rivalry. It's Kentucky, but maybe they're kids. Maybe they're taking this game for granted. Have to at least bring it up. This is a really interesting matchup in that Kentucky, these are complete opposite teams, by the way. Kentucky is like a snail, and then Tennessee is a super speed racer, and Tennessee has this electric passing attack. Kentucky wants to lead on its run game, and Kentucky, this is what's so fascinating. Kentucky, if you go back the last 20 years, there are two coaches who are dominant as road under coaches. It's Jimbo Fisher, which makes sense, and Mark Stoops. What does Kentucky do? Kentucky over since Stoops has been there, and what do they usually do in the SEC play? They're playing teams that are better than them. So what does Kentucky want to do? Shorten the game, control the clock, run the ball, limit the amount of possessions, which makes sense when you're the inferior team. That's Stoops' MO. The problem is you can't do that here. You can't run the ball. I know Chris Rodriguez is back, but your offensive line stinks, and Tennessee's run D is elite. Like, it's elite. Any metric you look at, Tennessee's run D is elite. Their secondary is not. So does Kentucky come out here and say, let's throw and go toe-to-toe with Tennessee? I think that's the smartest approach, but it's not in their DNA, and they're not like controlling the clock and keeping the Tennessee offense on the sidelines and wearing them down, taking the crowd out. So I don't know if Kentucky's going to play this, because I think they just should come out and say, let's throw it around the field and take advantage of the weak point of Tennessee's defense. But that's never how Stoops plays these games. But he should here, because Kentucky, the big blue wall is no longer there. They can't just line up and run it. They couldn't run it against MAC teams. They're not running it against this Tennessee rush defense that's really good, really good. So having trouble with this one, I'm higher on Tennessee than I think everyone in the world. But I only make this like 11-8. So, I mean, I don't see any value in the side of total. This game will shatter if Kentucky is just coming out throwing it all over. This game probably goes under if Kentucky plays it like they always play road games in the SEC. And that's just like run, go very slow. So I don't know. Maybe I look live at the total, depending on how Kentucky is coming out early. Very fascinating game from an X's and O's standpoint. What do you see here?
Well, I said this on Green Dot Daily, and I'll say it again here on the podcast. This is the last time I'm fading Tennessee, because the correlations with LSU 2019. Liar. It is. I learned my lesson from 2019 LSU. Like, I was hot on Burrow against Texas, and then I never bet them again for the rest of the year. Got to the national championship game in Vegas with you, and my precious Trevor Lawrence got smacked by LSU and Joe Burrow. So I'm seeing a lot of correlations here. And what I mean is math guys, that keep power ratings and do analytics, they can't keep up with where these point spreads are in the market, and Tennessee just continues to cover them. My number is 8.5. So of course, anything in this market right now looks like that there's value on the other side. Whether I'm, be damned that it doesn't fit for the team that they're playing to actually back them. It's a tough spot, but I've learned my lesson with LSU a couple of years ago. Now, the problem with LSU and the other correlation.
Well, you haven't learned your lesson yet. You say you will learn your lesson if you lose this weekend.
If I lose this,
I'm skeptical. I think I'm going to see you here next week, same time with a Georgia shirt on, but we'll see.
I don't know. I think you just lay it and close your eyes with Tennessee if they blow this one out. So I think the last correlation I'll make between LSU is that they couldn't tackle anybody halfway through that schedule. And Vanderbilt put up 30 points on that 2019 LSU team. And then Dave Aranda was like, we're having a come to Jesus meeting and we're going to learn how to tackle. And that's what's going on here. Like missed tackles for Tennessee, UT Martin, there was 11, Bama, there was 12, LSU, there was 12. It's too many. They need to be around 5 or 6 per game if they want to have a better defense. So UT is still outside the top 100 defensively in havoc and coverage. They're not going to win a national championship with those numbers. So we're going to find out if Tim Banks, the defensive coordinator, is going to be able to fix those fundamentals. And if he's going to be able to like pivot off, a little bit of man, play a little bit more zone, be more versatile in their coverage. But I think what's interesting about this game is that Kentucky embraced the tempo last year. Look at that score, 45-42. It was a 1-possession game going into the fourth quarter, and Kentucky ultimately lost 45-42. But if you told Stoops right now, I'll give you a 1-possession game and a tempo atmosphere going into the fourth quarter, I bet you he would take it. Will Levis threw 49 times for 372 yards. There's no Wan'Dale Robinson. That scares me a little bit. If Stoops wants to go down that path, he doesn't have, the weapons that he has on the outside to probably get this done. But Chris Rodriguez did run for 109 total yards, 5 yards per attempt. So they had some success running the ball because they were airing it out with Will Levis. And right now, Kentucky's 4th in FBS in expected points passing, 1.95 points per pass. Why is that important? That's 4th in the nation. Tennessee is only 1.7 points per pass. So maybe Stoops' plan for Levis this entire time against a poor Tennessee secondary is to have him air it out. And, you get, the defense for Tennessee is just dictated. You can't run against it whatsoever, ever. And so, they're 97th in offensive finishing drives. Kentucky is, so they got to have some explosives here. So if you're betting Kentucky, which I am, the formula is zone defense with safety help on Jalen Hyatt. You got to put somebody.
They do a good job of taking away explosive plays every year, which is
but I mean, Jalen Hyatt is like on another level right now. You got to assign a spy on Hendon Hooker scrambles because he's getting first downs when he shouldn't get them. He has 243 scramble yards this season. Will Levis deep passing. He's only had 10. Did you know he only had 10 completions this year over 20 yards? Like, what are they doing with Will Levis? He's not running.
Yeah,
he's not
they miss
throwing.
Wan'Dale Robinson too.
Yeah, they do. And so you need Levis scrambles. We don't know how healthy that ankle is. Chris Rodriguez has got to help keep the chains moving. And Stoops at 32 seconds per play on offense. You got to wipe that and go tempo with Tennessee. So, you got to have stout third down defense. They're 20th in the nation in third down defense. And then you need, the biggest thing is you need the refs. Tennessee is 120th in penalties. I'm not placing any bets on a team's penalty rate, but at the same time, you're going to need that assistance in this game if you're going to take a Kentucky play. So that's the formula. Is Stoops willing to scrap 32 seconds per play? Is he willing to get Levis to throw downfield? Is he willing to go up tempo? We're going to see, but that is the formula to keep this close and try to beat Tennessee.
By the way, that Kentucky had the ball for 46 minutes and Tennessee only like 13. I think Kentucky ran 100 plays in that game. 50 pass, 50 run. It was just Tennessee scoring and then on like one play, and then Kentucky would get it and drive down the field and then score, and then the same thing kept repeating itself. Wild game.